What's going on there, Twitch and YouTube world, and welcome to your second week update in July for loadouts to help you win games. Let's get it out the way. I was gone for a little while. And with that being said, I wasn't consistently playing the game. I popped in throughout the month, here and there, played a little bit, but I didn't really have a full grasp on where we were at, which guns hit the hardest, which guns had the best recoil to manage. I gave you more a breakdown on what you have to pay attention to in terms of weapons and setting them up. These guns I have spent hours testing in the field on Teardrop, as well as the practice range, to ensure you have tip-top performance through and through. We'll start off with the assault rifles, move into some SMGs, talk a little bit about long-range marksman rifles, and then we'll finish it off with some pistols and give you just a breakdown of which limbs I think are going to really lead you to the dub. So if I'm going too fast for you at any point, hit the pause button, jot down the build that you're interested in taking for a spin, and get back to me in the comment section and let me know what you think. First things first, we're going to talk about our assault rifle category, and I think there are 3 of them right now that are the cream of the crop. I do think, however, there's a little bit more variety in terms of the M4, which really is going to take that 3 and turn it into about 6 or 7 different options. So we'll start off with the M4 Enforcer. I think this is the best variant of all our M4 options. For those of you who've been able to purchase this with your guns, or maybe you've got this from being part of prior battle passes, you're in for a treat. Now, after I did some further testing, you'll see that I made some adjustments. Of course, we're still using the light stock. We have the M4 Commodore Heavy Barrel, that was the change, and the angled foregrip, that was a change. And of course, we kept the Commodore drum mag. The why behind that is the heavy barrel adds a little bit fall off range so we can continue to win those long range engagements. We don't want our assault rifles feeling like an SMG, and there's not a major penalty that comes with the attachment itself, and the angled foregrip. This is swapped out for the prior control grip that I was using last time because there was still a big penalty on the vertical recoil, whereas the angled foregrip is a 1% difference in horizontal recoil assistance without as large of a penalty vertically. And I'll show you a little bit later towards the end of this video what all of these guns look like so you can kind of compare them side by side and see which one works for you. Another thing I recommend is that you all visit one of the best websites right now, which is otgmeta.com, so you can stay up to date on the latest and greatest weapons that work for you. And shout out there to the creators who put that together. Now, moving on away from the M4 Enforcer being number 1, I am going to recommend that if you have those attachments, that you use those same ones on the base model M4. This is going to be a very highly controllable and high performing weapon. And if you're worried about not being able to afford the, M4 Commodore Enforcer version, not worry. It's literally like a 0.1% difference, and you're still going to be performing just as good. You just are missing out on some slight advantages by having this in-game version. Now, for those of you who are maybe a little bit newer to the game, you started last month or you started this month and you're not sure where you need to get your feet wet, I recommend 2 options for you, and it is going to be the M4 Apex Predator. Fast fire rate, hits like a truck. It does have a little bit of a sketchier recoil pattern for you to be able to manage, but I do think it's going to stand right in line with those other 2 options, being the Enforcer and your standard M4. If you are on controller or you do not have any prior weapons that have released, I think that the M4 Commodore controller, funny name, right, is going to treat you well. This thing absolutely slaps. Little bit high end on the vertical recoil, but almost virtually no horizontal recoil. Very easy to manage, and I would recommend doubling up on this if you have the opportunity to use this weapon. Started the game, you got your pro, you're not sure where to begin, take this for a spin. I'm sure you'll win. Now that's going to wrap up our M4 section. The next weapon I think is going to be probably the best in the game. Just my personal bias is actually the Mavinga. In my last video, I said I wasn't a huge fan of this weapon because of the fact it had a slower fire rate. But this specific version, which you can get in last month's Battle Pass, is a machine. This specific weapon has a higher damage, a little bit slower fire rate. So I would say it's the experience of using it is very similar to a woodpecker. But the trade-off for those of you who are fans of the woodpecker is that slow fire rate comes with big damage. And the other thing that makes this the number one selling point for me over the M4 is going to be the low vertical recoil and the low horizontal recoil. It's virtually non-existent. And you're going to get a chance to see that when we move things over into the tryout zone. But this gun is a must for those of you who are able to get your hands on it or purchase it in the marketplace. Our third AR that I'm going to recommend is going to be the Terracon Maniac. Do I think because it's third, it's pacing behind those other two? Not at all. This really just comes down to your play style and how you like to use the weapon overall. Now, one thing I will say is when it comes to this weapon, I don't think that this build is finite or absolute. I've built this in many different ways and all have resulted in really great performance. So make sure you take some of my advice from my first video where I said pay attention to your attachments and see what the feel is. If it's moving side to side, you're probably going to want to go with, something that reduces the horizontal recoil. If you're moving up and down, go with something that's going to reduce the vertical recoil. But for me, the build that works is going to be the silencer for the Terracon, stabilizing foregrip for the Terracon laser pointer, and the Terracon drum mag. Absolute banger. Hands down one of the top three, no questions asked. Now, in terms of the assault rifles, I do think there are some honorable mentions, and it is probably going to be building a Vulture or a Partisan, but I don't think that they're competing with any of the other weapons. If you do have access to some of the pre-made Vultures, maybe the Cybergoth or the Pink Fury, they're really not bad options, and I think they're going to treat you well. Or if you even have the regular Vulture, what I recommend is that you kind of mimic some of the things that you're seeing on this particular weapon. So as an example here, we have a control grip, a drum mag, a heavy stock, and a barrel of some sort. So this one here, for example, is using the silencer, and this one here is using the compensator. Doesn't really matter too much. I think more so this one is enticing because of the fire rate of the weapon itself. And these two particular pre-build variants from older battle passes will have the highest fire rates. So just honorable mentions, nothing crazy, but I would use, again, M4, Red Ant Mavinga, or the Terracon Maniac for the best performance and off the grid right now. Moving forward, we're going to talk a little bit about SMGs. I do think right now the SMG meta is in a fantastic place. I said in my last video that I think the AZV was still a really great gun, and I still stand on that. If you do have access to a Doom Zero, take it for a spin, but it is not competing with these other three options. Fire rate right now just plays too much a part in the race to getting a kill or winning your trade-offs. So what works for me right now, number one is going to be the kite. And we kind of have a similar situation where when we compare this to the M4, we have a lot of different options. Now I get it. Not everybody had started the game and immediately got their hands on the fancy battle pass variants of this weapon. So what I'm going to recommend is if you're new to the game, the first thing you want to do is open your hexes and see if you can land at least a blue variant of the kite. If you can't, go buy one. They're cheap, they're affordable. You build some gun up, got your pro version, you're looking to get things snowballing. This weapon is arguably the best SMG in the game right now. Low recoil in terms of vertical and horizontal, and it's really great whether you're ADSing or trying to shoot off the hip. Now, outside of that, we want to expand on what makes some of these other variants a little bit better. If you're somebody who's really heavy on wanting to ADS with the kite. One of the pre-builds I'm going to recommend for you is going to be the kite Skunkpocalypse. It doesn't have a scope or anything, but it's really easy to manage, and it does a lot better in terms of those long range exchanges, just mainly because it does in fact have, you know, a longer heavy barrel on it, as well as the silencer. Now, if you are looking for a close number two to that and you are not an ADSer, you prefer to shoot off the hip, you're running around your opponent, you really don't want to have to worry about ADS speed or any of those things, the Kite Liberator, hands down, is the best off the hip SMG in the game, maybe a close second to the Kochi. So that's what I'm going to recommend for folks as like 2 early pre-builds. If you're going to assemble this weapon from scratch, I am going to recommend just the regular kite build. This is what's working for me. There's so many ways you could build this gun. Just using a kite, period, is going to be a high performer. 1.4x red compact sight, kite heavy barrel, kite compact laser, and the kite drum mag. Take it for a spin. See if you win, because I know it's going to treat you right. Next is going to be the Nebula variant of that weapon. This is for folks who are looking to, you know, spend a little bit of gun, but you're not quite all the way out there at wanting to go spend that much gun. This is easily accessible. There's a zillion of them on the marketplace, so it's not going to cost you too much. And I do put a 1.3 sight on this one instead of the 1.4. You can use either or. The silencer for the kite, compact laser, and the drum mag. If you're building this weapon, I do think that the compact laser and the drum mag are kind of automatic, right? We want as many bullets as possible to increase our win factor, and the compact laser to help you in those off-the-hip aiming situations. The reason I use the 1.3 is also to help with the off-the-hip aiming situation. So, very versatile gun overall. I do think it's probably one of the best SMGs in the game, period. The next one I want to talk about is one I think people are sleeping on because really the attachments early on were expensive and we're so used to using some of those other guns just out of habit. But the Kochi will treat you right and still hits like an absolute truck. The build that I'm going to recommend for you is this only version. It's going to be the Kochi Heavy Barrel. This is going to help out with long range exchange, slim foregrip to balance both of those recoil patterns, the compact laser, and the Kochi drum mag. Very, very effective and one of my top choices. The next one that's going to be really good for you is the Tacoma. You do have some pre-build options, but I really don't see a lot of value in them. So I'm going to recommend that you go with buying a purple model of this weapon. I like to put the Tacoma Heavy Barrel, the noise suppressor for the Tacoma compact laser, and the Tacoma drum mag. You're going to notice, again, that theme of drum mag compact laser is really powerful in this current patch. So take this weapon for a spin. This is my number 3 SMG in the game overall. So to quickly run through that one last time, Kite, Kochi, Tacoma. Best 3 options in the game. All right, moving forward, we are going to talk a little bit about the sniping meta right now. In my prior video, I did give you a standard Kestrel build that I think works fantastic, but this is mainly for folks who are looking to use long-range scopes. I like the 3X Advanced Combat Scope, the light stock, the lightweight barrel, and the laser pointer. You'll notice this is a lot different than my original video because I was having some issues with toning down the speed. If any of you were curious how I did that or fixed that, all you have to do is go into your settings, and then if you click on mouse, for example, you will have this option called sensitivity FOV scaling. Turn that on, and now no matter what weapon you're using, you will maintain the same exact speed overall, and you don't have to make any of those weird adjustments or play with anything like per zoom sensitivity. So anything I said in that prior video related to per zoom sensitivity, just turn it off and turn sensitivity FOV scaling on. All right, so what we're gonna go ahead and do now is talk about my true recommendation for sniping. And it is actually going to be an OG model that not many of us will be able to get our fingertips on, and it is the Ninja Kestrel. This bad boy is arguably the best first person, no, third person sniper in the game. Some people might like it for long range sniping if you really like to zoom in, you know, like those 8x, 12x type ranges. But this is better because it has the ability, as it says right here, to shoot off limbs like snapping crackers. So there's a lot of times when you might be in an engagement or a fight and you snipe somebody and all you get is a little X, right? A little hit marker, nothing to get out of it. Well, when you shoot somebody with the Ninja Kestrel, you have about an 8 out of 10 chance to take a limb along the way, whether it be their legs or their arms. This is going to put the fight in your favor and make those chases a lot easier. If you have been spending all your time ADSing, I encourage you to hit Y on your keyboard or whatever you've binded it to, maybe on your controller, to switch how you look down sights to get into third person sniping and use the Ninja Kestrel. Hands down, it is the best when comparing it to the pre-built Kestrel I gave you at the beginning or something like the Piercer or Osprey. It's not even close. And that's why we're going to go ahead and wrap up when it comes to the marksman rifles. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the pistols. This is going to be short and sweet because most of these are pre-builds. There's really no major build for a pistol outside of the Tap 9. So I do recommend folks use number one, the Tap 9 All Stars. I think it's just very easy to manage, has a really balanced fire rate. This is the fastest fire rate out of all the Tap 9s. So if you want to just buy a regular Tap 9 and copy this build, I know it's going to treat you right. 1.2x mini reflex sight, the Tap 9 drum mag, the compact laser, and the noise suppressor for the Tap 9. It's reliable, works like a charm, and is very consistent whenever you're using it in teardrop. The next one I'm going to recommend for folks is going to be anything in the Kelowna family. It could be the Shinobi, in my opinion, as the number 2 because of how much more manageable it is in terms of its usability. If you're just looking for raw damage, better performance, then I'm going to recommend the El Diablo. Both these weapons are going to require you to either A, buy them off the marketplace, or B, have been around for those battle passes in order to have these, similar to a lot of the other weapons I've talked about in this video. So take them out for a spin, and I honestly think it doesn't matter which pistol you use, they're all good. Nothing's better than the other right now. It's whatever suits your style. To close out this last section, I do recommend either the Slay Baller being the better of the 227s or the Impact Junkie, as they have a high fire rate, very easy to manage. But remember, they do pretty much take 7 to 8 shots in comparison to something like the Tap 9, which is only going to take you 5 or 6, or the Kelowna, which is only going to take you 4 or 5. So very, very great weapons. Just different fire rates and just different use cases. But again, there's no pistol right now outside of these 4 that I've given you or 5, right? That are better. So take them for a spin and see if you win. Now, to wrap this video up, because that's really all I got for you folks, is to show you what I'm using in the game right now for combinations and setups. And I'll quickly run through my limbs and we'll wrap the video up with showing you why I chose these videos in the tryout zone. So for my very main loadout right now, it is the M4 Enforcer with the Ninja Kestrel, using it in third person. I do drop the pistol currently just because I want to save a little bit of money. And then I'm currently running kind of like an engager, just troll loadout. This is meant for me just getting an early crack on somebody and a quick, easy follow-up. So we have the Slam Fist, the Hammerheads, and the Javelina. I usually will use the Javelina if I'm in the air. If I end up hitting them, switch to the Kestrel, follow up, free kill. If I'm on the ground, I use my M4, open up the fight, switch to the Slam Fist or the Hammerheads, finish up the kill. Easy peasy, get a W. Now, my number 1 and number 2 loadouts are going to consist actually of the Ant. The Mavinga Red Ant, I think personally, is the best assault rifle in the game. It's so good that I would just double up on it and, of course, pair it with a really strong setup in terms of limb combination. So that's what's working for me. I like the hook shot, the Road Runners, and the Recon drone. With the soldier backpack, being able to swap in between both of these weapons is very valuable. Dump a clip in somebody, switch weapons, dump another clip in somebody. And if you somehow are shooting the backside of a barn and not being able to hit it, switch to it again, and you'll have another mag to be able to do as much damage as possible. I want to remember what I said. It might have a slow fire rate, but it hits like a truck, and you're going to win most of your engagements. Next is going to be the M4 and any SMG of your choice. I've been using the Kochi or the Kite. I've probably been using the Kite more than I've been using anything else because I like to just kind of fire off the hip while I'm using Roadrunners and circling around my opponent. So that's going to be my recommendation as the second build. And you'll notice everything else is pretty much the same in terms of my limbs across the board. Next is going to be, let's switch it up. The Terracon Maniac with the Tacoma. This is just a reliable kit, a little bit different in play style. If you're a little bit more slow, you want to take your time with your shots, but still be able to abuse those engagements long and close. Terracon Maniac, Tacoma, and of course the limb meta is going to stay the same. The next one I'm going to recommend, and you'll see it's my favorite right now, is going to be the Mavinga Red Ant with the Ninja Kestrel. And yes, I am using it again in that third person mode. Hookshot, Roadrunners, Recon Drone. I think you guys get the drift when it comes to what limbs I'm going to recommend for you. Honorable mega mention for all of you new players out there who were able to get in with this most recent battle pass and you're not sure where to start. All you need is double controller M4s. And you are going to be smacking kids left and right. Use this as kind of the gateway to getting you attachments and limbs and just more gun as you continue to play the game. And I know you're going to have a lot of success with it. Remember what I said about the Kite? If you're new to the game as well, I do recommend that you go ahead, buy the blue Kite. It's going to be cheap, highly accessible, and it's going to have the same performance as using the controller where it's just easy, no recoil. And like I said, take it for a spin. See if you win. Backpacks, no questions asked, soldier backpack, period. No conversation. So let's not spend a lot of time talking about backpacks. Honorable mentions, because I know not everybody wants to use the same loadouts as me. If you're looking for mobility, hookshot, slam fist, period. Nothing better. Best legs in the game right now going in a tier list. Number 1, Roadrunners of any color. Number 2, Hammerheads. Number 3, Leapers. Any other leg right now is trash. Don't use it. Stick to those 3. Personally, I still like to use Roadrunners in the current meta. When it comes to offensive limbs, Recon, for me, having that information is invaluable when I'm playing with a team. But if you're looking to kind of create an opening, Bounce Bomber, S tier limb, this is going to help you pull the target closer to you, create an advantage in a lot of your fights, or even finish people who may have gotten around the corner. S tier limb, Javelina. Great opener. You're noticing a lot of players starting to double up on this particular limb. Just being able to spam these all over the place, open up, break shields, and then go in for the finish is really, really strong in the current meta right now. Kinetic Shield, Ultra S tier limb, but it does take a lot of practice for you to get used to. And I recommend using this in close corridor situations. You rush somebody, they're rushing you, suck up all that damage, push it back in their face, swap your weapon, get the free kill 99.9% of the time, but it does take some getting used to. Maxi Gun, A- tier limb. But it is busted. It's great in the air falling down on people, or if people are just not paying attention, tons of free kills, but it's still kind of slow. And unless you're running something like Slam Fist to pull you out of the animation, can kind of leave you like, sitting in the water, and you're going to be a free kill. So it's not necessarily S tier. Last but not least in the S tier is going to be Phosphor Fury. Mwah! Still a fantastic limb. You just got to use it until you actually get used to it and are able to land those shots on a regular basis. Every other limb, either B or C tier. I couldn't recommend it. If you're a cheeky player, maybe run the Ripper, but I'd rather just snipe off your limb instead of worrying about ripping it off. Or if you want to create chases, trip mine's always going to be in the meta and have its place. Right now, with it being an event related to the holidays, protecting things like the Hextractor or buyback station with mines is going to be really, really powerful. So we certainly can't sleep on it. And that's pretty much going to wrap up everything when it comes to what's really the best in the game right now. Now, earlier in the video, I told you that I wanted to show you why I'm using these particular weapons, and then we're going to wrap this video up. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ant, or the Mavinga red ant. Why is this my favorite weapon right now? My number one goal when I think about playing the game is how can I make it easier for me flying, running, just doing so much stuff in the game. And it is reducing the recoil or how much effort I might have to put into my thumbs. And yes, I did test all of these weapons on controller, or how much I'm going to be using my wrists when I'm playing on my mouse and keyboard. So let me show you just what the regular recoil pattern looks like. Not too bad. Now here's what it looks like with just literally 5% of control. You see the very large just blot spot. There's not a lot of variance. If you imagine a character standing in front of that, look at that. You're hitting every single shot. So this is why I think it's the number one in the game. Now, if I were to switch to something like the M4, here's the Enforcer build that I've recommended for everybody. Remember what I told you is that the trade-off is this will have more vertical recoil. So here's the regular. And here's with just 5% recoil control. Nice centered blob of hit markers. And again, if I were to run up to it, that's a dead target. So this is arguably tied for number one if you're looking for something with a little bit faster fire rate, but it does have more vertical recoil than the red ant. If we were to take a look at any of the other M4s, I think they're all pretty similar to the Enforcer. So I'm just going to show you the controller because I'm recommending this to the new players. Here's the standard recoil. You notice that the bullets are really tight and together with one another. Now here's 5% control. I'm not even pulling down hard at all. And again, if we stand in front of that, that is a dead target. This is arguably one of the best guns in the game right now if you're new to the game. Now moving forward to the SMGs, I know there's some folks out there who are probably really curious on seeing maybe like the Kochi or the Tacoma and the differences. So here's the Tacoma. You notice there's quite a bit of horizontal recoil with it, but here's just 5% of me pulling down and to the left. That's a dead target, ladies and gentlemen. If we were to switch to the kite, here's the Skunkpocalypse. 5% control on, or excuse me, this is the Liberator. Here's 5% control on the Liberator. And I'm not going to go through all of the different kites because I'm not kidding when I say they're all virtually identical in terms of how consistent and centered the spread is on that particular weapon. So that is why it's probably one of my top recommendations. It does look like I pulled out of the Kochi build real quick, so I know a lot of folks are kind of sleeping on that gun. So I'm going to quickly show you that, and then that is pretty much going to wrap up our video for this session. So we're going to go back to the Kochi build, visit the tryout zone.
Take everyone out.
And take a look at this guy right here. Here is the standard recoil pattern. Kind of similar to Tacoma. All we're going to do is pull down a little bit to the left and down at the same time. Here's 5% of me controlling it. And if I were to run up to that, that's a dead target. So one of the things I want to stress to you is making these weapons easier. Pay attention to those attachments. Up or down, you need to adjust the vertical recoil. Left to right, you need to adjust that horizontal recoil. A lot of that other stuff like sway or like fall off range. You got to kind of just consider, where am I taking most of the fights based on my play style, and you can continue to make those adjustments in your overall builds. But I am confident that these are going to set you on the right path. So take them out, take them all for a spin. But I'm also confident that after 2 weeks of thorough testing, hours of playing with each of these loadouts, and talking with other members of the community, they will vouch and also agree that everything I've covered in this video are going to be the top weapons to help you win games. Don't forget some of the things I said regarding the pistols, as well as the marksman rifles, in particular that Ninja Kestrel. They're going to treat you right as well. That's all I got, folks. Thank you to everybody who's continued to show your love and support. Until next time, folks. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all be easy.